Huge fan of Gavel to the point where I was recently on a ABA seminar and I ended up launching a promotional for Gavel, which I didn't intend to do. Royal Family Law is a law firm that grew out of my practice doing traditional representation in Southern Oregon. I moved my practice to focus exclusively on family law. In starting around 2017, 2018, I started to realize the huge gap in the access to justice, particularly in my county in Southern Oregon, where 90% of all cases had one or both sides without counsel. That struck me for two reasons. One, it was a huge untapped market just as a business person. And secondly, it was frustrating to me that so many people that needed help couldn't get it. And I'm one of those that became a lawyer because I wanted to make a difference and I wanted to help people. I have been a huge proponent of document automation. In 2020, as I was pivoting towards devoting my practice to working with that group of people that weren't going to hire traditional lawyers, I renewed my search for a tool to provide document assembly that was intelligent. And that's how I stumbled across Gavel. So in mid-February, I had my office set up so that folks could work remotely from home. So in early 2020, I started pivoting to more technology as the pandemic wore on. So I went from being a traditional full service law firm with a brick and mortar office and staff to being a law firm that works exclusively through Zoom and phone and often asynchronistic. I decided to use Gavel when I was looking for a consumer facing tool. When I started in 2020, I had already created and iterated over at least 4 different document automation applications. What became pretty apparent early on was that it was actually more efficient with me as the lawyer to work through those interviews and make sure that I was really thinking through the various legal issues. One of my personal pet peeves has been when you go to, say, the doctor and you're given a clipboard with 5 forms, all of which require you to input the same information again and again. It just irritates me. Another issue that's been a client pet peeve is when data is entered into documents and there are typos or misspellings. So it's really important to me that I have a tool that allowed me to input information once and ensure its accuracy and avoid all those human errors when we re-enter data and or we use terms differently. So data persistence allowed me to ensure the integrity of my documents, to avoid wasting time inputting the same information again and again. And also from a business perspective, it allows my customers to move seamlessly through the process of a case. And the data persistence was also really important to be able to go back and correct or update information. So the benefit of the data persistence and the benefit of Gavel is time, and for lawyers, time is money. It is also time becomes a way when things are efficient. It allows me to shift my pricing to make it more affordable. It is a valuable tool. What has actually happened as I've been using it longer is that I now also use it for internal purposes only. So for example, Gavel is my tool so that individuals can create their own documents to start family law cases, to respond in family law cases, to create judgments in family law cases through a guided interview that I've created with tips and tools and parameters set out. What has actually happened is I've also been using it for my internal use only in work that I do working with juveniles. It's an extremely helpful tool to increase the efficiency of my law office for traditional work. So in my Oregon practice, I only provide assistance to self-represented family law litigants, people that are going through custody, divorces, etc. In my other practice, I work exclusively with juveniles who are facing delinquency charges, who are in need of a guardian ad litem, or who are seeking to be emancipated. So in that context, working with young people, I'm not relying on them to have any technology, but I'm using it because the same agility, the same speed, the same accuracy, the same economy of scale that I was able to implement for self-represented individuals has helped me to be more efficient, whether that comes down to managing caseloads or whether that comes down to being able to do better work faster and less expensively. In terms of the entire business model, I would not have been able to create a client facing tool or portal where clients can create their own documents, which makes all the sense in the world. From a business perspective, when you're dealing with family law clients, they have finite resources. So if things are resolved quickly, then clients usually can sustain, the bills that they're getting during that time period. What working with Gavel actually allowed me to do was to continue to work with only contract staff. So it's given me greater flexibility in the way I work and with whom I work, including, and this is really important to me, making clients and customers key members of the team. Most people, if they know they're going to have to provide this information anyway, would be just as happy to provide it once, knowing that they're inputting it. They know how to spell their own name. They remember their children's birth dates. They're probably not going to confuse the birth dates among their children. They would rather do that quickly and efficiently than rely on various levels of staff to create documents. And as lawyers, we always want to push work down to the lowest billing rate of competence to save our clients money. I could well envision a situation where the process becomes more efficient so that certain staff functions are no longer required, that you no longer need the staff. It means that you can redeploy staff for a better, higher use. They can take that process and make it even more efficient and make up for in volume what they lose in big ticket, customized, bespoke creation of documents. As far as the actual creation of the interviews and then making those mesh with the templates and dealing with conditional logic, I relied heavily on Gavel's support, which has been remarkable. It's superlative. I get responses at all hours of the day and night, particularly since we're working across time zones. Fan of Gavel to the point where I was recently on a ABA seminar and I ended up launching a promotional for Gavel, which I didn't intend to do, but I was trying to share what has worked for my firm, and I had to issue the disclaimer that honestly, I don't receive any remuneration from Gavel. I just think it's a really good product, particularly for small firms. I'm sure it works equally well for large firms, but for solos and small firms that don't have big tech budgets and big tech consultants, it's really been a powerful tool. There's still much I have to learn about Gavel, even though I've been using it for years now. Interested to watch how it's evolving. It is at this point, growing to be a much larger company, but I have never lost the sense that I can reach out to Dorna or I can reach out to, individually have conversations and Zoom links with support staff.